It's summer, you just finished your exams, and I know one thing is for certain. You wouldn't mind making a bit of money, so you can buy nice things that you always wanted or go on holiday. Well, you clicked on the right video because today I will tell you the story about how I made over £1,000 in school at 15 years old. And to answer the question straight away, I spent it on building my dream PC at the time. This story is full of ups and downs. I'll take you on a journey to see how I managed to build a mini educational empire at my school and some local schools nearby, how I had to avoid teachers in order to stay in business, and much more. So all you need to do right now, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and let's begin. Before I actually tell you what I did, just a fair warning. If you're already getting constantly good grades and you know your subjects well, this will help you reach your money goals for this method much quicker. But that being said, even if you're not the best student at your school, you can still use this method. It will just require a little bit more time. But it's still possible. It's still possible. So, what did I actually do to make some money? Well, let's first rewind back to the school time. I always enjoyed doing practice questions and past papers. That's actually something that helped me get all 9s in my GCSEs, and which I'm pretty proud of. And so one day I'm sitting there listening to lo-fi music and doing, say, I think it was a maths paper, and I suddenly realized, how can I monetize my learning so that not only I'm preparing for my exams, but I'm also getting paid for it? And then I thought, at my school, it's a pretty strict policy to do your homework on things like Hegarty Maths, Seneca, and other online resources like that. It's like, you know, the apps with like different questions, usually maths or science, that you can complete over and over again until you reach 100% in your assignment. And at my school, the teachers were pretty strict on it. If you haven't done your assignments on Hegarty Maths, you would actually get a call from a teacher to your parents, and yeah, nobody wanted that to happen. But somehow even that didn't help, and only 75% of our students actually passed GCSEs. Maybe it was actually my fault, but that's another thing entirely. So think you were getting carried away here, so let's go back. So I'm sitting there solving my maths questions, and I think, how can I monetize my learning? And it struck me, considering how strict my school is when it comes to homeworks and assignments, and considering that many students didn't want their parents to be called, and there were a lot of the students who were on the list for calling because a lot of students were not doing their homework, and me including. I never liked Hegarty Maths or any of those sites. I always preferred the OG method of just doing past papers. But anyway, so considering that our school is super strict when it came to homework, and considering that there was a lot of homework to be done, I thought, how about I combine those two things together and start doing homework for people? And I know this sounds like the most stereotypical way to make money, but it's the one that really works. And it's the one that anyone can do, because think about it. Hegarty Maths lets you repeat all the questions, even if you get like 60% at first on the first assignment. You can go back, redo the questions, and get 100%. The beauty of this all is that the questions get repeated. As a result, the more you do of those Hegarty Maths questions, the more you kind of memorize the answers. So each time you continue doing homework for people and for different people, and each time you remember the answers, so you don't even need to be good at your subjects. You just memorize the answers, and then you just put in the answers, and automatically you get 100% on the assignment. Because the questions there, they're not infinite. They're very much finite. There are only a handful of questions that Hegarty Maths actually has. And so as a result, you can use this to your advantage. And it doesn't matter if you're currently super smart at maths or in science, or you're getting bad grades. It does not matter, because you can just memorize the answers. The thing literally lets you repeat all the questions, get 100% of them, and move on. So now, once I established that there is a clear gap and demand in the market because people didn't want their parents to be called and there was a lot of homework to be done, now was the time to find my first clients. Surprisingly, it was pretty easy to find my first clients. All I needed to do is ask a couple of friends who I knew had a lot of unfinished homework on Hegarty Maths, who were pretty lazy and who had a bit of money to spare. So I came to my friends who were actually from lower sets, and I asked if they needed my services in order to get 100% on all their maths homework. I had a pretty good reputation among my schoolmates. They always thought that I was pretty smart because I was getting high grades. Out of 5 people I asked, 3 were actually super interested in this, Now, once I found those 3 people who were super interested, it was time to decide upon a price. So the way I estimated my price was actually by figuring out the average time it would take me to solve about 10 questions on Heggerty Maths. So of course it varied with the difficulty of the questions, but taking the average was the most optimal way to kind of estimate the price that I should be charging. So let's say it took me about 10 minutes to do 10 questions on average. Meaning, if I charged £1 per 10 questions, I get £6 per hour on average. It wasn't a bad deal. Also considering the fact that I'm learning and preparing for my actual exams, at the same time getting money out of it. So I decided to charge £1 per 10 questions. Later on I actually started charging more, but we'll get to that. One of the students who initially was interested actually ended up purchasing a lot of questions to be done. He gave me a task to complete around 600 questions, meaning that I got paid £60 to get 100% on all of them. That deal was actually a steal because that guy, he was from a lower set. As a result, his questions on Heggerty Maths were super easy. There was something like solve 2x plus 1 equals to 3. So it took me absolutely no time to finish 600 questions. The other 2 paid me £10 and £15 each. I was super excited. I had no idea what I'm going to be doing with that money, so I just kind of saved it up for later. That feeling of getting your first money as a teenager is very, very rewarding, trust me. So anyway, after the first 3 clients, the word has spread around. Thanks to those 3 kids for kind of doing a shout out on Snapchat for me, and obviously myself telling absolutely everyone that I'm doing homework for money. So basically almost the whole year group knew about it. And considering my school is pretty big, we had around 1,500 people in total in the school. The clients actually started piling in. Because again, nobody wanted their parents to be called by the teacher, and so the demand was huge. I began to be approached even by the people who weren't interested in maths but rather science or English, which I reluctantly but did. At the end of the day, it's money, so who can shy away from that? And there was one story that I must absolutely tell you. So during lunch break, I decided to go in the toilet. I hear that there are some people outside the cubicle door, and I can distinctly hear them whispering something along the lines of, "Do you think he'll do it? Would he agree?" So I immediately understood that they wanted me to do their homework. And so to boost my ego, I kind of took my time in there. And then as I leave, I get approached by 3 people, and one of them asked me if I would be willing to do his business coursework for £200. Now, this was the task I could not miss out on. £200 was a huge amount of money. And the business coursework, although it sounds like a lot of work, it was not even. Not only I had a lot of time to spare in year 10, but I also had this weird ability to finish my coursework for business in literally just a couple of days. I have no idea how it worked, but it literally took me about 3 days to finish the entire coursework. I still remember the expression of the teacher's face when I came up to him and I said, "Hey, I finished all my coursework, could you please check it?" The facial expression was priceless because in business, I was doing nothing. I was just looking at memes of playing checkers with my friend. And so the teacher thought I was a lazy, ungrateful student who will not succeed. And like at least once a week, I would get summoned to the board and the teacher would say to me, "Okay, Natalie, you have done absolutely 0 for your coursework." And so one day I say to myself, "All right, let's just get this out of the way, finish this coursework and we'll be done." And so 3 days later, I finish it, I come up to my teacher and I say, "Hi sir, I finished it." He checks it and gives me a distinction star, and the look on his face was absolutely priceless. I was then allowed to do my own revision in preparation for GCSEs, which I'm really grateful to that teacher, by the way. Sir, if you're watching this right now, thank you for letting me revise during your lessons. It really helped me with getting the 9s in my GCSEs. So back to the toilet story. So when he told me that he would be paying £200 to do his business coursework, I immediately knew that I will be taking up that task. But instead, I pretended to think about it. And so I say, I'm not sure. Business coursework takes quite a while. I would do it for £250. And after a brief moment of consideration by him, he agrees. And here I made 50 extra pounds for pretending like business coursework is something super hard to do. He agreed with ease, and as I later found out, it was actually because he really wanted to do something business related in the future, and his friends who were with him in the toilet at that time actually convinced him that he needs for some reason a distinction star in his GCSE business. His desperation was my friend. So after paying me, I start to work on his coursework and I actually managed to finish it within like a week. Now in the next chapter, I'm going to talk about the problems that arose during my business venture. It mostly ties to the teachers and time management actually. So because I had a lot of assignments to do and a lot of tasks to do, the work just kept piling up. I had to do hundreds of questions a week and I was kind of suffocating. So in order to avoid that, I decided to double my prices. I thought it would help me get rid of a half of all the clientele, but somehow people were still interested. And although people weren't happy, most of them actually stayed. And so the workload did not decrease. So what I end up doing is I employ my friends. I assign them to the easy questions and I take about 30% of their pay. So this is how it works. The students would pay me, I would give the task to my friends, like the easy tasks so that they don't burn out and they don't leave the business. They would do those tasks and I would pay them about 70% of what the students paid me for the homework. And so this business model kind of kept me up and I wasn't burning out myself because I was only working on interesting questions and I was making more money for less time. Now the biggest problem starts here. My school teachers started suspecting something weird. So thanks to the technology, the teachers could actually see that the same device keeps connecting to different accounts for different students. So to do homework, people would obviously give me their account details, so login and password. I would then log into their account and start doing the work. And since I have the same IP address, teachers could see that the same person keeps logging into different accounts. And so that was pretty suspicious. It was absurd. It went to the point where they assembled our year group in the giant, the talk area and started talking to us, trying to get the answers out. Thanks to the fact that everybody liked me and needed my services to do their homework. So this video was pretty long. I think it would be best if we split it into different parts. And I'm gonna post part 2 later on. And there we will discuss how I dealt with the teacher's problem. And let's just see if you guys like this type of format. Please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in part 2. Also, check out our website studyply.com where you can get free revision resources as well as free help from tutors. Alright, bye everyone, see you in the next videos.